All right. This talk is called A Framework for Guaranteeing Fairness. Yeah? So, it's like fairness revisited. It's a flashy epiphany that I just had. So, it's a trippy rant. It's a trippy rant because it should be like this, but it's not. So therefore, for me wishing that it should be like this is kind of trippy. If we think about what the general narrative is, yeah? So what I wanted to do is actually show you, yeah, that if we, in terms of constructing this narrative, yeah, how should I put it? We need to talk to our the people we entrust with fairness, yeah. We need to talk to them and ask them to prove that they've been fair, yeah. You're gonna be thinking to yourselves and asking me, how on earth is it possible to prove fairness, yeah? How can a human being prove that they've been fair? It's surely impossible, yeah? It's impossible for any human being to devise a way of proving that they've been fair, yeah? But there is. That's what this talk here is about. What I suggest the people who are in charge of fairness to start doing, yeah, because we need to assess their work and appraise it, yeah. So the onus is for them to prove that they have been fair, and they need to prove that annually, quarterly, whatever the people demand, yeah. So what you do, yeah, whenever two narratives, yeah, whenever two narratives are in competition with each other, yeah, what you do, you get a page, yeah, you get a page and you divide it into two. You put a column across it, yeah. When you have put this column across it, on one side, yeah, you put, on one side you put narrative 1, yeah, and on the other side you put the narrative 2 that you're comparing it to, yeah, when you're trying to bring fairness in the way they're interacting with each other, yeah, because your interest is fairness now, isn't it? You want to make sure that all citizens are treated fairly, not just some, yeah, because we normally entrust the job of bringing about fairness to those who serve as public servants, yeah. So, oh, it doesn't matter who you entrust that to, but whenever two narratives start demanding that you're fair to them, get a page, divide it into two, and put a header saying narrative 1, narrative 2. If narrative 1 starts to say that they're demanding, yeah, that narrative 2, yeah, give up the right to promote, yeah, to promote their point of view, yeah, their narrative, yeah, then you have to tell narrative 1 that you also have to give up that right with respect to narrative 2. Okay? If then narrative 1 says, I want them to give up their right to their right to believe in their narrative, yeah. Okay. Then narrative 1 also has to be told that with respect to narrative 2, you have to give up your right to believe in your narrative. If narrative A then tells you we want them to have their right to economy taken from them, yeah, 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 then you have to tell narrative 1 that they also have to give up their right to economy with respect to narrative 2. Yeah. Hold on. No. Then they have to have their right to economy taken away from them too. Yeah. If you did that, yeah, you should have both sides having the same thing on them. And when you come to being to your appraisal, you'll be able to demonstrate that you have been fair to both narratives in that situation. In every situation you've been in, you've been fair. All right? But if your sheet of paper yeah, looks like, yeah, looks like this, where narrative 2 has had all their rights taken from them, and there's nothing that's been done to narrative 1, then we can say that with respect to those two narratives, you have been judging unfairly. Yeah? All right? But if we see, yeah? Hang on a minute. Give me a second. If we see that you've taken away narrative 2's right to promote their narrative, to believe in their narrative, and their right to economy, and you've also done the same to narrative 1, yeah, when they're interacting with each other, then we'll know that you've been fair. Yeah? That way, we can clearly, you've demonstrated that you have been fair to everyone. That's how you spot unfairness from those we entrust with bringing about fairness. Yeah? I want you to consider that, yeah, as a targeted individual, yeah, whenever two people argue and you allow one person to get away with something, you allow another to get away with something. If one person asks you to deny that person something, you also deny them the same thing. If they refuse, then you say you don't demand it of me when I'm interacting with that person. Yeah? If I take away their right, I'll have to take away the same right from you to be fair. All right? Otherwise, if you want to be fair, if your interest is fairness, otherwise you're the problem. You're the reason why there's unfairness in this world. If we look at your report card and it's got an analysis of your activity, and it looks like you've given one side everything they want, yeah, and not giving the other side anything they want, we'll know that you've been unfair in your attempt to bring about fairness. All right. So what I'm suggesting is that if you went off the top of your head, yeah, and thought that you judged it right, do that little exercise and think about what you did to those people on their request and what you did to those people on their request. If you see that where it's you done everything to these lot and you didn't do nothing to those on their from their requests, that's why they're upset with you. You haven't been fair to them. If you're the one who's interested in bringing about fairness, we don't expect to see anyone's report card coming back and seeing one column full and the other one empty. If you see that, you remove them from that responsibility. They're clearly not capable of doing it. If they went off the top of their head and they came up with one column full, the other one empty, they didn't perform their role properly. Yeah? And if they were to perform that role further on, they would need to demonstrate it that way, the way I've just prescribed in this talk. If we do that to start off with and see what happens, we'll see if there's more fairness. And then you can do a census or something and see if people feel more fairly treated in this world. We'll be able to see that as on our public records and say, okay, every narrative will be able to see that every other narrative has had the same things imposed on them and things will feel better. Yeah? If I have to give up something and I know you have to give it up too, it feels better. That's how you bring about peace in this world. Remember that.